Hi, we are here for Uncut with KJH. I have on a graphic liner. If it's not live already yet, it will be soon, but I probably have already posted it so that I can direct you to the video of how to do simple, quick graphic wings. I'm going to finish the makeup right now. I've got on just a touch of concealer, a little bit of a lip. I wanted to keep everything simple to sort of show you this liner, and I'm going to finish it with all of these lovely products on my tray. I'm not going to tip it too much because it's going to fall off. All right. Picking up where I left off with just a touch of concealer, we're going to do a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury, just sort of speckling it around and applying it to those zones where I want a little bit more contrast. And I should turn my phone on silent. If you don't know, this is Uncut with KJH, a series that is unedited, unfiltered, and you know, it's real, it's genuine. There's a lot of real life things happening in these videos. If the doorbell rings, what are we gonna do? Thankfully, my assistant is to my left. All right, so we are bouncing in the concealer. I'm being a little bit careful because my brush is so large, but it really sort of, as long as you don't hit that liner, you're good. And I want the big brush for speed. Bigger the brush gets the job done quicker, but the smaller brushes allows for you to be very detailed in your placement. So that's why you'll often see me sort of using kind of both. I'm going to zoom in a little so that you can see a touch more detail. And I'm using my phone as a mirror, hence why I'm not looking down the lens. I'm shooting these on an iPhone, as for me, it's quite easy to, YouTube's always been daunting because I just don't really know my way around a camera that well, but I do know my way around an iPhone quite well. So I found this app through my friend Caroline called Pro Video Recorder, and that is what we are recording in, and it lets me see everything, and it uploads 4K to YouTube, and it's great so far. And this is the first video where I realized that my screen was not flipped the right way around. Anywho, I'm going to put blush. This is just a little bit of the Dewy Cheek palette from Danessa Myricks. I love these two shades the most. So I'm probably going to go first for a little bit of the more beigey pink. These are a lip and cheek. You can be using them in multiple ways. And the reason why I just went there and then immediately over here was because I deposited quite a bit of product onto this cheek, and I wanted to take what was left in this brush real quick over here so that I can come back here in a moment, instead of wasting the product, or instead of panicking and over blending and taking it all off. I find I see that sometimes happen with blush with people, as you know, there'll be a bit of blush applied to the face and it's like, oh, that's too much, and then there's like a bit of a panic blend that happens. You know, if you're one of those panic blenders and you're like, oh my God, so much product, and then you fight to get it off, you're actually probably taking the majority of it off. And by the time your cheek isn't red from the over buffing, it probably is all gone. And that's no shade. I'm saying this simply because if you don't know, if nobody tells you, then you don't know that that's happening. It's like sometimes I get messages saying like, how do I put on mascara? I'm like, what do you mean? Nobody's ever shown me to fully put on mascara. And I'm like, oh, wow. You know, if nobody's has been shown, how would you know the best way to do it? Unless you figured it out, which in that case, that's a different story. I'm going to actually take a brush, a little sort of fluffy brush, just start sort of buffing this color into the lip. I love this color. This is a great, this comes in two different shades. One of them is more berries and browns, and this is more pinks and peaches. This is a great palette to sort of have if you travel a lot, because you can just literally do most of your makeup with this, aside from complexion, but you could throw a little on the eyes if you wanted to. It's very, 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 very versatile. And then I'm just gonna do a touch of Endless Cacao at the edges. And sort of just, it's really weird to look into the phone because now I'm recording everything backwards, but that's okay. We want you to be able to see everything. It's more important. All right. So far are you all enjoying this Uncut with KJH concept? I, again, just to sound like a broken record, wanted to do YouTube for a really long time, but just never really found the availability in my schedule to be able to sort of sit and learn my camera and really sort of connect my camera with my computer so that I can see the screen and all of that. And I'm so good at sort of just shooting my content on the fly for Instagram or for TikTok. And so I was like, how can I do that but for YouTube? And so here we are. Bit of bronzer. This is Seychelles cream bronzer from Rose Inc. I'm using it with a rougher number 24 brush. I'm just gonna like hold my hairline back and just get right into the hairline. It's weird. I never used to like, since I've gone back red, I'm enjoying using bronzer, but I never actually used to use that much bronzer when I was red formally. unless it was summer and I just forgot that it was naturally a little bit more tan, but I don't know. It's weird. So again, pushing the bronzer into the hairline first. That includes the hairline by the ears, and then a little into the jaw. And what that's doing is it's just making it kind of look like naturally sun-kissed versus like you've placed bronzer on the face. And then if I want to be a little bit more sort of targeted, I can just pick up a smaller brush if I want to, or pick up product very strategically on the tip of the bristles, and then sort of just skim it into that hollow of the face right there, and sort of add a little bit of a contour-y effect. Contour is not bronzer and bronzer is not contour, but dependent on the shade of each of those items, you can kind of make them work for you in similar ways. Contour typically has a bit of a cooler undertone, bronzer normally a bit warmer. I want a little bit more structure to the mouth. It feels a little overly smudgy, so I'm just going to take my pencil and just do a little shadow here. And I like a little shadow with lip liner because it helps to take this pink color that's on my lip and separate it from my skin in a way. It adds a little bit more of a pop and contrast. And the fact that I blended it with a bigger brush didn't give me much definition, which is fine. I'm not taking a smaller brush just to keep that size kind of where I want it to be kept. Okay. I'm going to add a tiny bit of shine to the eyes. We already have, you know, a fun eye going on. This is just a little touch of liner using Fix Plus and an eyeshadow. But now I'm going to take a little bit of Celestial from Bodyography, which is glitter pigments. These are my absolute favorites. I'm using a brush. My nails are too long, frankly, to get into the pot, and I'm just going to press this on with my number 15 from my KJH Spectrum thing collab. Just go right through the center of the eye. You can wet the brush if you want to make the application be a little bit more intense. I'll show you that on the other side actually, just so that you know. Spritz the brush with some Fix Plus, and then I'm gonna actually just pick up from the cap here and go right on to the lid, and you see you get quite a different application. And the more water, the more you're gonna shear down the glisten. And the less water, the more it's going to be rich and like a paste. The less water is my preference. I'm going to go right up into that inner corner there because I like it in there. I like a bit of something. I'm about to get a coughing fit. I can feel a tickle. All right. Maybe not. And then with that same brush, I'm just going to buff it into a little cotton round just to get rid of the extra pigment. And then I'm going to take the silver one, which is called Halo. So this is what these look like. They're just beautiful. They're glistening. They're easy to just throw on. And I'm not going to take the brush wet again because it's probably already a bit wet from the previous spritz. And I'm taking the shade Halo right through the center of my lid, just for a lovely sort of wash of shine. Also, I like to put it under the brow. Same on the other side. All right, and we are almost done. This little makeup change took 8 minutes from start to finish. Well, this little makeup addition took 8 minutes from start to finish. I'm going to do a touch more mascara. And then I'm going to do maybe a little bit more concealer and powder, but I haven't decided yet. I like my lashes to sort of go out toward my wing liner. I do like my lashes to be quite dramatic. I'm like, if it ain't Tammy Faye, I don't want it. What is your favorite video, for those watching this, that you've seen so far from my recent comeback to YouTube? I did YouTube back in the day, like when I first started doing social media, probably back in like 2012, 2013, which are all since gone and not really online anymore. But it's amazing whenever I have watched those. It's like the growth in my sort of style is very, very, very interesting to see, and it's just wild how my makeup style back then, or my skills, or sort of my ability, was very, very not what it was today, of course, because you practice and everything gets better with practice. And I say that to encourage anybody that's just like, oh, I wish I was better at doing my makeup. I'm a makeup artist and I do it for my job. But even then, I was like assisting back then, like assisting other people. This is a technique that I call priming the brush and just getting the product into the brush before I touch it to my face, so that the product is easy blended and just sort of easily just disappears into the skin. Yeah, I just really like a I really, what am I trying to say? I say that to encourage anybody that just feels like, you know, I wish I was better. You will get better. Even me, like if I don't do makeup on somebody for a while, I kind of forget what they like or what, you know, their sort of, what suits them best. It takes you a minute to sort of get back to figuring out what their, you know, things are that they like or that you like to do on them. It's habit, a bit like muscle memory in a way. All right, gonna do a bit of powder, and then I think I am done. I don't really need highlighter because I'm already pretty radiant. I'm just gonna take a small brush to powder with. This is the Charlotte Tilbury setting powder, and this is the Sculpt by Spectrum number 8. I'm just gonna press it here down the sides of the nose. And I will put a little under the eye because I've got a bit of an eye thing going on. The wing liner, obviously, but I wanna just teach you technique real quick about powder. Picking up the little amount is really a good habit to have, and then just gradually applying more. But just stippling the brush. If you sort of do a lot of this, you're gonna flick powder everywhere and it might get in your lashes or your brows or your hair or whatever, which is fine, you can always get it out, but it's just more work to get it out. And also just sort of keeping your pressure really light and delicate is key. If you're rough, you're potentially moving things around that is underneath what you're currently applying. And it can just make things not look as smooth and as sort of seamless as you might want them to look. Anyway, that is it. That is all I'm gonna do. I think it looks pretty good. I would go to a holiday party with this. I would go on a girls' night out. I would go out with Tarek. I would even just wear it to go to Trader Joe's because that is just my vibe. One time I went to Trader Joe's in a full face of literal Swarovski crystals. It was hilarious. And the girl behind the cash register was like, she didn't even look up for a second when she did. She was like, oh! I was like, yep, that's me. Anyway, I hope you like this. Let me know if you have any questions, comments below. And if you haven't already, subscribed. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe for more. And I will see you in the next video.